Have you ever woken up and felt the weight of the day pressing down on you before it even begins? For many seniors, mornings can be the loneliest time, when the house is too quiet and yesterday's worries return like unwelcome guests. But what if I told you there are words so powerful, so uplifting, that they can change the entire course of your morning? In this video, we'll explore 10 timeless quotes, simple phrases filled with wisdom and warmth that have carried people through the toughest of times. These aren't just words on a page. They are reminders of hope, courage, and the joy that still waits for you every single day. Stay with me, because the last quote on this list is one that has lifted spirits for generations. And it may be the spark your mornings have been missing. For many seniors, mornings are not always filled with sunshine. Take Eleanor, a 78-year-old widow who lives in Ohio. She used to love waking up early, hearing her husband make coffee and talking about the day ahead. But now, when she opens her eyes, the silence in the room feels heavier than any blanket. She once told me, "The hardest part is not the aches in my knees, but the emptiness in my mornings." Eleanor tried to distract herself, turning on the TV, scrolling through old photo albums. But instead of comfort, she often found herself dwelling on what she had lost. The absence of her partner, the distance of her children, the fading circle of friends, all of it combined into a quiet storm inside her chest. She admitted she felt like a burden when she called her daughter just to hear a voice. And Eleanor is not alone. Many seniors feel this same invisible weight. The early hours, meant to be a fresh start, can instead become a reminder of loneliness, regrets, and worries about the future. That sense of "what now?" lingers. The world moves on, but you feel as if you're standing still. This is the silent struggle that few talk about. The way mornings can magnify our inner battles. Aches and pains may be easier to share with a doctor, but the heaviness of the spirit, that is harder to put into words. Yet it is real, and it matters deeply. One morning, Eleanor described how she sat at the kitchen table, staring at the same cup of tea that had gone cold. She thought about the friends she used to meet every Thursday at the community center. One by one, the loss of structure, the fading of purpose, the uncertainty of what to do with all those empty hours. These feelings can create an inner ache that no pill can cure. Even the simple act of getting out of bed can feel pointless if the heart is heavy. But here's where the story deepens. Eleanor confessed that sometimes she would write little notes to herself, phrases she remembered from books, hymns, or conversations long ago. She didn't think much of it at first, but on the darkest mornings, these words became tiny lifelines. A scrap of paper that read, "This too shall pass." A note reminding her you are not forgotten. Though they were just words, they gave her something to hold on to, like a rope pulling her back to the surface. For Eleanor, those quotes were not cliches, they were anchors. They didn't erase her pain, but they whispered, "You are stronger than this moment." And that is the turning point we'll soon discover. How the right words at the right time can transform a morning of despair into one of quiet strength. Eleanor's story began to shift the day she decided to make her little notes more intentional. Instead of scribbling random lines, she created a small ritual. Every morning she would sit by her window, breathe deeply, and read one uplifting quote aloud. It became her way of opening the day, not with silence, not with sorrow, but with words that carried strength. The first quote she leaned on was simple. Every day is a new beginning. Take a deep breath and start again. At first, she read it with doubt. Could words really change how she felt? But by the third morning, she noticed something different. She was looking forward to reading the quote, almost as if a friend was waiting for her. Over time, she added more. You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. That one, she said, made her pick up the phone and join a senior art class at the library. With the new day comes new strength and new thoughts. That phrase gave her courage to try short walks in the park, even when she felt too tired. The beauty of these quotes wasn't just in the words themselves, but in the way they reminded Eleanor of something she had forgotten. She still had power. She could still choose how to frame her mornings. she could still shape her days. It is a privilege denied to many. George later admitted that he read it 3 times before setting it on his nightstand. Something shifted inside him. Instead of mourning the years that had passed, he began to see his age as proof of endurance, of wisdom earned. Together, Eleanor and George began sharing their quotes over tea once a week. They laughed when they both picked the same one, and they found comfort in discussing what each phrase meant in their own lives. Soon, they weren't just reciting words, they were living them. One quote in particular became their shared favorite. Happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. Inspired by this, George started tutoring local children in reading, while Eleanor began leading a gentle stretching group for seniors at the park. Small steps, yes, but they turned lonely mornings into moments of connection and purpose. What we learn from their journey is clear. Words have the power to heal. They don't erase every struggle, but they light a path forward. When spoken, remembered, or even written down beside your bed, these quotes remind you of something vital. Your life is still full of meaning. So when we share these 10 quotes today, think of them not just as sentences, but as gentle companions. Let them greet you in the morning like an old friend, ready to lift your spirit, steady your heart, and remind you that each day holds something worth living for. What Eleanor and George discovered is something timeless. Even the smallest words can carry the weight of hope. These quotes are not magic spells, but they act like gentle lanterns in the dark, reminding us that life's beauty doesn't fade with age. It simply changes shape. A good morning is not about everything being perfect. It's about choosing a thought that gives you strength, a reminder that your story is still unfolding. Each quote is an invitation to rise above loneliness, to soften the fear of tomorrow, and to honor the gift of today. Maybe for you it will be a phrase about courage. For someone else it may be a reminder of gratitude. But together, they all point to the same truth. You are still here, and that is something to cherish. So let these words become your companions. Speak them out loud. Write them on sticky notes. Share them with a friend. Allow them to breathe life into your mornings, and soon you'll find that your spirit is stronger, steadier, and ready to embrace whatever the day may bring. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these uplifting quotes speaks to your heart the most? Maybe you already have a favorite phrase that brightens your mornings. Share it in the comments below. Your words may be exactly what another senior needs to hear today. If you found comfort in this video, consider subscribing to our channel. Each week, we share gentle reminders, practical tips, and heartfelt stories to help you feel connected and inspired. And if you know someone who could use a little morning light, share this with them. You might change their day.